Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Chef Rambo. I'm back with another recipe for you guys today. Today I'm making homemade peach cobbler, guys. Okay guys, here are my ingredients. I'm going to be using some nutmeg. I'm going to be using some ground cinnamon. I have 3 sticks of butter. I have baking powder, even though I didn't end up using it. I'm going to be using some imitation vanilla extract. I've got a big old thing of canned peaches, sugar, brown sugar, and self-rising flour, guys. And there's my pans in the back. So yeah, nothing fancy here, guys. Let's go ahead and get started. I went ahead and took a stick of butter, and I put a stick of butter to each of these pans, except for the little one. I did a half a stick of butter. So we're gonna go ahead and put these in the oven and let these melt. And as they're melting, I'm gonna go ahead and start building our batter for our peach cobbler. I got my oven set to 350, guys. I'm going to go ahead and start putting these in, and these are going to melt, and it's going to really make our peach cobbler taste so good. It's going to give it so much flavor. It's going to give it like a buttery texture. It's going to be flaky. It's going to be wonderful. So we're going to get all these in the oven. And you can put the glass in the aluminum the aluminum pan, like you can alternate them. That's what I did. I put the glass ones at the top and the aluminum foil pans at the bottom, and I have it on 350. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on my batter. Since I'm using self-rising flour, guys, I'm not going to use the baking powder. You only need baking powder if you're going to use all-purpose flour. So since I have self-rising flour, I'll just use that. And I'm doing 3.5 cups of flour, guys, because I'm making 4 peach cobblers. There's no need for me to do 1 or 2 cups of flour. I'm just going to go ahead and do a big thing. So I'm going to do 3.5 cups of self-rising flour. It doesn't matter the brand you guys use. Just make sure you use self-rising flour. So that way you don't have to add baking powder. And I'm going to go ahead and add 3.5 cups of some sugar. You can use any kind of sugar you guys like. So I'm just using regular sugar, white sugar that I got from Kroger brand. I'm going to do 3.5 cups of sugar whenever I hurry up. Come on, girl. We're trying to make a cobbler. Okay, so yeah, you could honestly do a couple. If you only wanted to do like 2.5 cups of sugar, like 3, that would be fine. You don't have to do 3.5. I just did 3.5 because I know that I'm going to be making 4 cobblers. So I wanted to make sure I have enough batter to last for the pans. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And then I'm going to be adding a tablespoon of ground cinnamon. I'm using a tablespoon since I'm making 4. So if you were just making 1, you'd probably want to use just a teaspoon of nutmeg and a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a nice stir. And guys, literally this took me like 2 minutes to mix this stuff up. It's so much flour and sugar and spices, you guys. So you really, really, really want to make sure you get everything mixed up thoroughly. There's a couple times that I stirred this and I could still see some of the brown cinnamon and some of the brown nutmeg. So just want to make sure you mix it all up. And we're going to go ahead and work on our wet batter. I've got 3.5 cups of 2% milk. You can use whole milk. You can use 1% milk. You can use whatever milk you like. Although whole milk is recommended, it's definitely easier when you're trying to bake stuff when you use whole milk. I'm just using 2%. So I'm going to do 3.5 cups of 2% milk. And I'm going to also throw in a little bit of that imitation vanilla extract because I couldn't find any real vanilla extract. So I'm just using imitation. And I'm going to go ahead and combine the wet batter with the dry batter. And I have my little wooden spoon looking thing. So I'm going to go ahead and whisk this up. And I want you guys to know as you're mixing this, you're going to start to see clumps. Those clumps are completely okay. Just try to get them, whisk up as much as you can. But if you can't get them all, that's fine. When this goes in the oven, it's going to bake perfectly. All of those little pockets of flour and little bubbles, they're going to all work itself out. So as you guys can see, I'm giving this a nice, good stir. And there's so many lumps. Look at all these lumps and clumps of flour. That is okay, guys. I don't want you guys to feel like, oh gosh, I'm making this and I'm getting clumps and I don't know if I'm doing this the right way. Yes, you are, sis. You're doing this the right way. You just take your little utensil and kind of poke out as much as you can because you can't get them all. So you just try to poke out as much as you can and continue to stir. You guys are good. So keep on stirring that up. And yeah, that's pretty much done, guys. We're going to go ahead and get our peaches opened. And guys, this is a 6-pound can of peaches. You do not have to use this much. That's our batter. And these are nice and melted. So yeah, we are going to go ahead and pour our batter on. And then we're going to put the peaches on top. So as you can see, our batter is good to go. I really don't know how much batter you need to pour. I want to say at least until it starts leveling out. Like that is perfect. You don't want to pour any more than that. And then you want to pour the same amount in the last couple ones. One thing you guys have to understand is when you make peach cobbler, we are not stirring this, guys. So the butter is going to be kind of like on the outskirts of the batter. So it looks weird. You guys are probably like, girl, why ain't you mixing that up? You have to cook it like this. It makes it taste better. So we are not going to stir this, and we're going to finish pouring our batter in. We do not want to stir this, y'all. We want this to turn out perfect. We're just going to let it do its thing in the oven. So I've got all of my batter in all 4 of my pans, my glass pan and my aluminum foil pan. So now I'm going to go ahead and start putting on our peaches. A lot of people like to drain off the syrup that the peaches come in, but preferably for me, I prefer to use it. So as you guys can see, I'm taking a little bit of that juice, probably about a half a cup to a cup, and I'm pouring it on all 4 of the cobblers. It just makes it taste so good. It gives it like this caramely, kind of like crusty, cinnamon, nutmeggy, kind of like sauce almost. I know that sounds crazy, but the syrup like kind of thickens and it's, oh my gosh, it's delicious. So make sure you guys do not drain off your peaches. We need that syrup for the base of our peach cobbler just to give it that flavor and make it taste good, y'all. So I am just going to continue pouring on that syrup so that our cobblers are going to taste delicious. And now I'm going to go ahead and pour in our peaches. You probably want to put about 2 decent sized handfuls, scoops of the peaches. So I am using 1 cup. So you probably want to use 2 cups for each cobbler. That's how I like to do mine. So if you are making this for only 1 person or for just, maybe 1 to 2 people, you want to use 1 can of peaches. You want to use 1 cup of flour. You want to use 1 cup of sugar. So you just literally want to split all the ingredients in half. And you guys also want to make sure that if you guys are using all-purpose flour, you use baking powder, because if you use all-purpose flour and you do not use baking powder, your crust is going to be dull. It's not going to rise. It's going to be just a mess. So you guys have to make sure either to use self-rising flour, or if you're going to use all-purpose flour, you also use baking powder. Self-rising flour does not need baking powder because it already has some type of baking this. It has some type of baking soda, baking powder in the flour. So you don't necessarily have to add your own. So that's just a FYI for you guys. So as I am talking and running my mouth, you guys can see that we are getting these peach cobblers together. I've added about 2.5 cups of peaches to each pan of cobbler. So I am going to now go ahead and add a little bit of brown sugar on top. I love brown sugar, and I think it's going to look really good on top, give it a little bit of a color. and it's definitely going to add flavor. And it's just going to help kind of crust up the peach cobbler, because I hate when people make peach cobbler and like the crust is like not done or like it's soggy. We need this crust to be not rock hard, but close to it. We want it to have a nice crispy crust, so that way when we cut into it, you know, it looks good and it tastes good. We don't want no soggy crust. So I added my brown sugar to my peach cobblers. And I'm just finishing up the brown sugar. I'm sorry, y'all. I was so unorganized for this video. I am like all over the place. Today was just not my day. I am just all over the place today, guys. So y'all have to excuse me. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and take some of that ground cinnamon and put a little bit of that on top of the cobblers. Once again, for color and also for taste. Looks so freaking good. Oh my goodness. It's really cool watching myself make this because it actually turned out really, really good. So we're just going to keep adding some ground cinnamon to the top. You don't want to overdo it, guys. And this ground cinnamon doesn't have sugar in it. It's just 100% ground cinnamon. If you wanted to put ground cinnamon and sugar and mix them together, that's fine. If you wanted to get cinnamon sugar, that's fine. I just like to do mine separate. Sorry, guys. This part is so long. It took me... I don't know what I was doing. I don't know if I just thought that I didn't have to, I don't know. I think I'm just taking my time, y'all. You know what I was doing? I know what I was doing. I was rinsing off my cooking utensil. I was using this little scooper thing, and I think I was rinsing that off. So that's what's taking so long. Ramsey girl, if you don't get over here to these peach cobblers, girl, I am going to lose my mind. We are hungry. Okay, see how I went ahead and took some of that ground cinnamon and put it on top? Now I'm putting I'm putting some regular sugar on top. See, I'm talking too much. I'm getting my words all confused. So yeah, I'm just put a little bit of that sugar on top. And like I said, I really don't know like the measurements of how much I'm putting on. I want to say maybe a half a tablespoon. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm just putting a little bit of that on top just to give it a little bit more flavor and sweetness, and kind of help our crust up a little bit as it cooks in the oven. And that's it. Look at them. Them look so good, y'all. Oh my gosh, them look so good. They are ready for the oven, you guys. I just had to be extra and make another video. It looks so good. And this is exactly how your cobbler should look, guys. You do not want to stir this. You want to put these pups just in the oven, just like we prepared them. We don't want to stir them. We're not going to taste nothing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put these in the oven. I'm going to put the aluminum foil ones on the bottom, and then I'm going to put the glass ones on the top. And what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to let this cook on 350 for about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to alternate. So I'm going to take the glass ones and put those on the bottom. You guys want to make sure when you're cooking a lot of stuff in your oven, you're rotating the temperature so that certain items don't get overcooked while other items are not even close to being done yet. So we're going to cook this for an hour, and this is the results. Oh my goodness. This is how your cobbler should look after 1 hour. Okay, you do not want to let it get any darker than this. This is probably the darkest your cobbler needs to be. But after an hour, your cobbler is going to look like this. Nice and delicious looking and pretty, fancy, peachy, cinnamony, nutmeggy. Y'all know I got to cut into this, man. You guys have to excuse how off like the camera is. My boyfriend, I don't know if he just wasn't paying attention, but he completely missed the part where I wanted to show me cutting into it. He just got the whole pan and the ice cream and the Hershey's caramel syrup. So excuse me, but you get the picture. That's what it looks like. And you guys notice how wet it was and how juicy it was. All of that syrup has kind of like stuck to the crust and it's like no longer juicy. It's like thick, and I don't know. I just love the way that it turned out. It turned out so good. I was very, very, very proud of the results from this peach cobbler. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a scoop of ice cream and a little caramel drizzle. And like I said, guys, this is easy. It probably took me about an hour and a half to make this. And that is the finished product. Girl, boy, why did I make that look so fancy like that? That is so pretty. You guys need to make sure you guys are leaving comments. You guys are liking. You guys are subscribing. And please, 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 guys, I need recipes. I need you guys to comment recipes of what you guys want to see me make for my next video. Thanks so much, guys.